They say suffering makes you stronger. That pain is a teacher, and scars are symbols of survival. But let's be honest, pain doesn't always teach, it breaks. And not everyone makes it out stronger. Some people stay broken, they shrink, they vanish, they become whispers in a world that only hears those who shout with power. There is a brutal truth many are unwilling to accept. The world does not reward the kind-hearted. It does not honor those who suffer in silence. It remembers the unbreakable, the strategic, the self-made forces who rose not through comfort, but through calculated war against their own weakness. If you're listening to this, you're likely not here for pity. You've had your fill of false encouragement, of soft phrases that promised healing but delivered nothing but stagnation. You've probably been told to be patient, to wait for your time, to rebuild gently. But what if patience has become your prison? What if gentleness is no longer serving you? This is not a sermon on self-love. This is a strategy session for those who are tired of being prey. For those who've been knocked down and now demand more than a hand up, they demand transformation. Because rebuilding is not about healing. Healing is passive. Rebuilding is a choice. It is war. When you decide to rebuild yourself, not to be loved, not to be liked, but to become untouchable, you are stepping into a new life. One where power, not pity, is the currency, where you do not wait for applause. It appears this request needs a few more credits to be completed. You can easily add more to your account or adjust your plan to continue. We're excited to see what you create next. It's about personal growth. You will rebuild, yes, but into a new version of yourself. You will grow into the person who inspires others, the one who earns respect through quiet capability. If this idea resonates with you, then remember this principle. Inner strength first, self-doubt never. Because this is your first commitment to your journey. True strength is often misunderstood. It is not the loudest voice in the room. It is not found in grand gestures or loud demands to be heard. True strength is quiet, composed, and compelling. It speaks in calm tones and encourages entire rooms to lean in and listen. If you are developing yourself, understand this. The world often responds to what is presented, so you must become skilled in self-discipline and thoughtful action. Think of every insightful guide, every unshakable mentor. Did they shout their plans? Did they expose their weaknesses? No. They wore their calm like armor. That calm, that poise, is what unnerves enemies. It's not the scream that commands respect. It's the silence that follows a glance. Your power begins not when you fight for control, but when you wear the mask of it, flawlessly. This mask isn't deception, it's declaration. The world does not deserve access to your fear, your desperation, your hunger. It deserves to see only what you choose to show, the version of you that cannot be rattled, the version that smiles when chaos erupts, that sits still when others panic, that radiates certainty even as the foundation beneath you shakes. Understand this clearly. People are not moved by truth. They are moved by perception. And when you master the art of control, when you present yourself as composed and sovereign, people begin to believe that you are. Illusion hardens into identity. The mask of control becomes the reality of control. This isn't about dishonesty. It's about strategy. It's about survival. When you walk into the world with visible cracks, they aim at them. When you walk in with armor, they hesitate. And in that hesitation, you win ground. You bend influence. You create an aura that whispers, "This one cannot be moved." So start now. Breathe slower, speak less, observe more, project strength even when you're rebuilding brick by brick inside. That's not being fake, that's being in command. And when the world tests you, as it always will, it won't find a victim, it'll find a force. Yeah. If you understand this, write it, declare it, seal it. Calm is my weapon. Make it your mantra. Because the one who controls his mask controls the room. And the one who controls the room controls the outcome. Life is not a battlefield, it's a chessboard. And the reason so many people stay stuck is simple. They're playing checkers. They react instead of anticipate. They act on impulse instead of calculation. If you are truly rebuilding yourself, you must stop thinking in emotions and start thinking in moves. Power belongs to the one who sees further, the one who isn't chasing daily applause, but is orchestrating long-term dominance. That's how a strategist lives. That's how you must live. Ruthless calculation is not cruelty, it's clarity. Every word, every silence, every withdrawal must serve a larger purpose, not for ego, for positioning. Machiavelli warned that most people chase short-term victories because they lack strength. The strong, they sacrifice pawns to trap the king. They endure slights today to dictate the game tomorrow. So ask yourself, are you reacting to today's offense, or are you setting up a future that leaves your enemies irrelevant? Understand people. Study their motives. Their vanities are visible. Their fears predictable. Most people reveal everything about themselves without realizing it. They talk too much. They trust too quickly. They crave validation like air. Use that. Their desires are your leverage. Their patterns are your tools. That is the foundation of psychological strategy. But here's the rule. Never move without reason. Don't speak to be heard. Speak to influence. Don't act to be noticed. Act to shift the board. Timing is your silent ally. Appear when least expected. Retreat when they think you'll advance. That confusion is a weapon. When people can't predict you, they can't control you. And when they can't control you, they start reacting, just like you used to. This is the shift from piece to player, from pawn to king, from echo to architect. Most live as pieces, being moved by others. But if you're serious about transformation, that ends now. From this day on, every move is yours. Every silence has intent. Every connection is currency. Say it aloud. Write it below. I am the player, never the piece. Let that guide every decision from here. Because only the player wins the game. And if you're not moving others, trust this. They are moving you. Rebuilding yourself isn't about adding more. It's about subtracting everything that makes you weak. The path to becoming untouchable is paved with ruthless elimination. Not cruelty toward others, but uncompromising discipline toward yourself. You're not layering on confidence, you're carving away fragility. Weakness hides in places you don't expect. It whispers to you through your comforts, your habits, your distractions. It tells you you deserve a break when your edge is softening. It tells you you've done enough when you've barely begun. Make no mistake, comfort is the assassin of growth. It feels good right up until it kills your drive. You must become surgical. Identify the habits that dull your instincts, the people who drain your energy, the patterns that pacify your ambition. Some of them will come wearing the mask of love, loyalty, even friendship. But sentimentality has no seat at the table of strategy. If someone weakens your position, they cannot stay. Not because you hate them, but because you love your mission more. Your habits matter even more. Endless scrolling, quick dopamine fixes, procrastination disguised as productivity. These are the silent killers of potential. Every time you give in to them, you take a brick out of the fortress you're trying to build. Ask yourself, does this make me sharper or softer? If it softens you, it goes. No exception, no compromise. Machiavelli warned that the man who fears hardship is already conquered. You must strip yourself of every dependency. Praise, recognition, external validation. If it doesn't strengthen your position, it doesn't belong in your world. You're not here to be liked. You're here to become unshakable. Look in the mirror like an assassin studies a target, with focus, with detachment, with precision. Find every flaw and strike it down. Your new life depends on it. If this feels harsh, good. That means it's real. Say it now and write it down. Discipline over everything, because until you command yourself, you'll never command anything else. And the man who eliminates weakness becomes impossible to break. Power isn't always loud. It doesn't always come with titles or applause. The strongest men in history didn't shout. They whispered. They moved in silence. They made decisions that shaped generations without revealing their hand. That is the kind of power you must now cultivate, one rooted in silence, cloaked in shadows. Most people give themselves away. They talk too much. They post every thought. They confess their dreams to people who don't care. And in doing so, they hand over the blueprint to their mind. The world doesn't need to be smarter than you if you're careless. The less they know, the less they can use. Silence is not weakness. It is control. Strategic silence makes the world lean in. People begin to wonder what you're thinking, what you're planning, how much you truly know. That uncertainty becomes your weapon. Because the unknown is always more terrifying than the known. When they can't predict you, they start fearing you. Speak less. Watch more. Share only fragments. Let others fill the blanks with imagination. And trust this, imagination is more dangerous than reality. Machiavelli understood that unpredictability is power. When people hesitate around you, you gain the upper hand, and hesitation in high-stakes moments is fatal. But silence alone isn't enough. You must pair it with precision. When you do speak, it must cut like a scalpel. When you act, it must shift the board. Appear indifferent, then strike with clarity. This contrast makes you unforgettable. People ignore noise, but they never forget the quiet storm that moves with intent. This is not about hiding. This is about control. Controlled silence isn't passivity. It's dominance. It forces others to reveal themselves while you remain unreadable. That's the battlefield advantage. If this resonates, then make it your identity. Now, my silence is my strength. Type it, claim it, live it. Because when you stop revealing, the world starts respecting. And when you master silence, you no longer need to demand power. The world will whisper it for you. Every empire, every dynasty, every throne, built or maintained, has been shaped by one undeniable force: fear. Not chaos, not violence, calculated fear. It is the quiet foundation of control, the invisible thread that holds authority intact. And if you intend to rebuild yourself into someone untouchable, you must learn to wield fear, not as a weapon of destruction, but as a tool of influence. Let's clear this up. Fear isn't rage. It's not wild aggression. True fear, the kind that lasts, is subtle. It's the hesitation someone feels before crossing you. It's the silent weight of your presence. It's the memory of your reaction the last time they underestimated you. And it doesn't fade. Fear lingers where love often evaporates. Love is optional. People love convenience. They love charm. But once those conditions change, so does their loyalty. Fear, however, endures. It doesn't require applause. It operates in your absence. It speaks when you're not even in the room. As Machiavelli warned, it is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. But fear must be wielded with balance. Too much, and you spark rebellion. Too little, and you invite disrespect. The strategist strikes only when necessary. Anger must never appear emotional. It must feel inevitable, like gravity. Let your punishments be precise, not passionate. Let them feel calculated, not chaotic. That is how fear roots itself deeply. Sometimes, silence is more terrifying than words. A pause, a glance, or absence can spark deeper fear than a threat ever could. People imagine far worse than you could say, and in that imagination, they create their own limits. That's where your power lives, not in brute force, but in the restraint that forces others to doubt themselves. But remember, this isn't just about how others see you. It's about how you see yourself. Rule yourself with fear. Fear wasting your time more than rejection. Fear becoming soft more than being disliked. Fear your own weakness more than anyone else's strength. If you do this, you become untouchable, not because others fear you, but because you no longer fear anything. Say it, own it, respect me or regret me. Let that echo in how you move. Because once you learn to wield fear with precision, you no longer chase power, you become it. Not all power is visible. The most dangerous form of control isn't forced, it's felt. It isn't demanded, it's chosen. Influence is the crown jewel of power, and if you're to become untouchable, you must master it, not through dominance, but through design. Because the ability to move others without them realizing they've been moved is the highest form of strategy. Most people try to control with force. They argue, demand, and plead. But that kind of power is fragile. It depends on resistance to define itself. Influence, on the other hand, flows beneath resistance. It doesn't push, it pulls. It creates agreement by shaping perception. It makes others feel as though they've arrived at your destination on their own. To master influence, you must understand what drives people: desire, fear, and pride. If you know what someone longs for, what they avoid, and what they need to feel worthy, you hold their map. Feed their pride when it serves your purpose. Subtly ignite their fears when they hesitate. Offer glimpses of what they crave, but only on terms that benefit you. This is not manipulation for cruelty, it is control by awareness. Machiavelli warned that loyalty is temporary when based on sentiment. So don't depend on affection. Build dependence. Make yourself the bridge between others and what they need most. If they believe they can't succeed, feel validated, or stay relevant without you, they will guard your throne without knowing they're doing it. But here's the deeper truth. This power isn't just external. It must begin within. You must influence yourself first. Train your own mind to choose logic over emotion, to silence impulse, to crave discipline over comfort. Influence your inner world until it bends entirely to your command. Only then can you shape the world outside. So move strategically. Speak with purpose. Let every silence, every gesture, every small choice ripple with intent. Make people lean into you without knowing why. Let them orbit your gravity because they feel safer near your certainty. That is the art of invisible control. If you grasp this, if it stirs something deep in you, write this down. I pull the strings. Because when you master influence, the world doesn't just follow you, it becomes your design. Empires don't fall from invasion, they fall from within, not because of swords, but because of softness, not because of enemies, but because of cracks in the foundation. That's why the greatest empire you'll ever build is not external, it's internal. It's the mind fortified against collapse, the fortress mind. Most men build their lives around what can be taken: money, praise, approval, possessions. But when those things disappear, and they always do, what's left? If your strength comes from anything outside of you, then you're already conquered. Power that depends on circumstance is not power, it's a costume, a fragile illusion. Machiavelli warned that fortune is a cruel mistress. She raises the weak and punishes the worthy. You cannot trust her. But you can trust yourself if you've built yourself like a fortress. And that fortress is built from 3 unbreakable walls: discipline, detachment, and dominance over self. Discipline is your first wall. It is the gate that holds against weakness. It is doing what must be done without needing to feel like it. Discipline is the act of keeping your own word, even when no one's watching. Every day you obey your own command, you lay another brick in that wall. Detachment is the second wall. The fortress doesn't panic at every sound. It observes. It waits. You must learn to detach from emotions, from praise, from outcomes. When you are no longer enslaved to the approval of others, you become a man who cannot be swayed. The detached man sees clearly while others drown in feeling. The third wall is dominance over self, over the primal forces inside you: lust, fear, anger, pride. These are not weaknesses if you control them. They are weapons. But if they control you, they will destroy you. The fortress mind bends these instincts into fuel. Lust becomes ambition. Fear becomes awareness. Rage becomes motion. Pride becomes standard. Most people live with their gates wide open, begging to be saved, addicted to comfort, ruled by impulse. But if you're still here, still listening, then you've chosen differently. You've chosen to build, not beg. You've chosen silence, not validation. You've chosen the long road to becoming unshakable. So build with brutality. Tear down what weakens you. Construct your walls with ritual, structure, and solitude. And when the storm comes, and it will come, you will not kneel. You will not beg. You will not break. Say it now. I am my own fortress. Because when your mind becomes the throne, no man can take your crown. Rebuilding yourself isn't just about strength, it's about sovereignty. You're not rising from ruin to be accepted. You're rising to rule, not over others, but over yourself. This is the coronation of the untouchable man, and the crown you wear must be forged from absolute self-authority. Look around you. Most men are slaves, not to governments or masters, but to their own impulses. They are governed by lust, greed, ego, distraction. They call themselves free, but live in chains. They can't say no to temptation, can't endure discomfort, can't commit to discipline. And that's why they fall. That's why they stay average. But you are not here for mediocrity. You are here to ascend, to place the crown of command on your own head and never remove it. This crown is not a decoration, it's a declaration. A declaration that you answer to no emotion, no weakness, no voice outside your mission. To rule yourself means you become law and enforcer. You get up not when you feel like it, but when you said you would. You don't follow emotion, you follow execution. That's self-authority, that's sovereignty. And sovereignty demands war. War against every soft habit, every weak excuse, every compromise that tries to crawl back in. Machiavelli said that men should be either crushed completely or left alone. Apply that inward. Crush the parts of you that resist growth. Destroy the behaviors that steal your power. Show no mercy to laziness. Forgive nothing that weakens you. Let no flaw survive your scrutiny. Because authority, true authority, is structure. It's the daily rituals you honor. It's the detachment you hold when others panic. It's the silence you keep when others beg for attention. And over time, it shows. People won't be able to explain it, but they'll feel it. They'll hesitate around you. They'll respect the weight of your discipline. This isn't about arrogance. It's about presence. The man who truly rules himself has nothing to prove. His confidence isn't loud. It's deep. It lives in the way he walks, the way he chooses, the way he holds the line. So place the crown. Not someday. Now. Wear it in silence. Enforce it in action. Rule yourself so completely that others feel your command without you saying a word. Write it now. I wear the crown of self. Because only when you rule yourself can you stand above the chaos and become truly untouchable. You've walked through fire. You've endured silence. You've studied the game. You've eliminated weakness, built your fortress mind, and claimed your crown. But now comes the final phase. Not survival, not defense, but ascension. This is where you stop rebuilding and begin ruling. This is the transformation from broken to untouchable. To be untouchable doesn't mean you never bleed. It means you cannot be broken from within. The world may throw storms, betrayal, rejection, but none of it reaches the steel at your core. Because that steel, that internal command, was forged in the dark. You've become something different. Not louder, deeper. Not harder, sharper. Not invincible, undeniable. The untouchable man does not chase attention. He doesn't beg to be seen. He doesn't perform for approval. He becomes a force. His silence disturbs the insecure. His presence shifts the atmosphere. People don't understand him, but they respect him. They watch him not because he's flashy, but because something about him feels immovable. But make no mistake, this power comes at a price. When you become untouchable, you won't be adored. You won't be embraced by everyone. The weak will resent you. The mediocre will fear you. The envious will whisper, but let them. Because beneath all their opinions lies one truth. They wish they could be you. They wish they had your control, your composure, your discipline. And that is the final sign that you've ascended. Machiavelli's final law echoes here. The world doesn't belong to the kind or the pure. It belongs to the powerful. Those who move in silence, who master themselves, who pull strings without being seen. Those who no longer wait for opportunity, but shape it. You are now that man. But only if you stay the course. No return to softness, no crawling back to comfort. Every day you wake up, you sharpen, you command, you lead yourself before leading anyone else. This is not a season, it's a life. The life of the untouchable. So mark this moment. Let it be the line you never cross back over, and write the words that finalize your transformation. I am untouchable, not as a phrase, as a fact, because when the world watches you walk through storms untouched, it will finally understand. You didn't rebuild, you rewrote the rules, and now you rule yourself. The world isn't fair, and it was never meant to be. That's not a flaw, that's reality. And once you understand it, you stop wasting energy on blame and start building strategy. Becoming untouchable requires accepting one brutal truth. Fairness is a concept for the powerless. The powerful don't wait for fairness. They create outcomes. You've seen this? The most deserving don't always win. The kindest don't always succeed. The loudest are not the strongest, but they often get heard. Why? Because life bends to design, not desire. And those who move with intention, not emotion, shape the world around them. You must become that kind of person. Stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start asking, what advantage can I extract from this? Every failure, every rejection, every betrayal, it's all leverage if you know how to use it. The untouchable man doesn't avoid pain. He extracts wisdom from it. He turns insult into intelligence, loss into leverage. And here's the psychological key. Most people are addicted to fairness because they crave control in a world that denies it. But control doesn't come from fairness, it comes from awareness. You don't need the world to be fair if you are formidable, if you're calculated, if you move like a tactician. Think of every setback as a new blueprint, every disadvantage as a redirection. The most powerful minds in history weren't coddled by fairness, they were sharpened by reality. They realized that their edge would never be given. So they built it themselves, one brutal truth at a time. You must do the same. Embrace life's chaos. Use its unpredictability. Become adaptable, unshaken, unemotional in the face of unfairness. That calm detachment is your new weapon. Let others cry out for fairness while you quietly rewrite the rules. If this truth speaks to something deep inside you, write this down now. I don't need fair. I create outcomes. That is the mindset of the untouchable. That is how you turn the world from an obstacle into a chessboard. There's a hidden code running the world, one few talk about, but everyone senses. The code of value. It governs power, respect, and influence. And here's what it says. People do not treat you based on your potential. They treat you based on your perceived value. That value isn't just what you offer, it's how you carry yourself, how rare you are, how replaceable you appear. This is where most people fail. They assume that hard work alone is enough, that being good, kind, or competent should earn them status. But value is not assigned through virtue. It's measured by leverage, and leverage is built on positioning. You must position yourself as someone they cannot afford to lose, even if they don't fully understand why. You build this value in silence, in discipline, in detachment. You create it through scarcity, always being available, always giving, always explaining. These are habits of the undervalued, and the undervalued get used, not out of malice, but because they don't control perception. The untouchable man never overexposes himself. He understands that value increases with mystery and presence, not with constant access. You must become high demand, low availability. Not to play games, but to preserve power. Not to manipulate, but to teach the world how to treat you. When you walk into a room, your energy must carry the weight of someone who doesn't chase, doesn't beg, and doesn't flinch. That kind of presence makes others question themselves, and that questioning is influence. This isn't arrogance. This is psychological positioning. People value what they can't easily predict or replace. So be both. Be hard to read and harder to access. Let others wonder what you're thinking. Let them earn your attention. And when you do speak or act, do it with precision. Let your presence be rare and your actions be impactful. So ask yourself, are you showing up like someone who can be dismissed? Or are you operating like someone who must be considered? If you want to step into untouchable status, begin here. Elevate your value. Write it now. I don't chase, I attract by value. Because in a world full of noise, the rarest signal always commands the most attention. The untouchable man doesn't rely on emotion. He doesn't wait for inspiration. He doesn't drift on the winds of mood or motivation. Instead, he builds systems, routines, laws for himself that cannot be negotiated, even on the hardest days. Because greatness isn't born from inspiration, it's forged in repetition. Most people live by how they feel. They hit snooze when they're tired. They skip the work when they're stressed. They overeat when they're anxious and underperform when they're bored. But emotion is an unreliable compass. It lies, it fluctuates, it crumbles under pressure. You cannot trust it, not if you want to build something unbreakable. So you must build a system, a structure, a schedule that bends for nothing. Wake at the same hour, train your body daily, feed your mind intentionally, set boundaries that protect your time and peace. Discipline is not restriction, it's freedom. Freedom from chaos, freedom from regret, freedom from the emotional roller coaster that destroys potential. This system becomes your spine. When things fall apart, it holds you up. When others break down, you keep moving forward, not because you feel like it, but because the system leaves you no choice. That is how you rise above the average. That is how you become inevitable. There's power in predictability, in showing up regardless, in becoming the kind of man others know they can't shake, because he doesn't operate on whim. He operates on code. The world respects that. It notices the man who moves the same in calm and in chaos. It fears the man who cannot be thrown off course. So ask yourself, are you following your emotions or are you enforcing your system? If you want to become untouchable, you must choose structure over spontaneity, routine over randomness, discipline over drama. And if you're ready to live by that code, write it now. I follow the system, not my feelings. Because when emotion fades, the system stands. And when the system stands, so do you. Everyone talks about resilience. Few understand what it really means. Resilience isn't about bouncing back, it's about not breaking in the first place. It's not the return from the fall, it's the refusal to stay down. And for the untouchable man, resilience isn't just a trait, it's a standard, a way of life. You will be tested. Life guarantees it. The people you love will disappoint you. Plans will fail. Opportunities will vanish. You'll lose time, relationships, resources. But the untouchable man never loses his core, because he's not built on circumstance, he's built on principle. And principles don't shake when storms arrive. This kind of resilience comes from one place, inner clarity. You know who you are. You know what you stand for. You've already decided what you'll tolerate and what you won't. You've already accepted that pain is part of the price. And because of that, you're ready. Not surprised, not reactive, ready. Most people aren't ready because they're still hoping life will get easier, but that hope is a trap. Life doesn't get easier. You get harder, you sharpen, you endure. And every hit you take becomes a layer of armor, until one day, the things that used to break you now barely move you. That's not detachment, that's evolution. Resilience also means refusing to be defined by the past. The untouchable man doesn't carry his old wounds like a badge. He carries them like blueprints, reminders of what he's built over, lessons etched into steel. He doesn't talk about what happened to him. He shows what he became because of it. So let the world test you. Let the chaos come. Let people betray you. You don't need perfect conditions. You just need an unshakable core. If that truth lives in you, write this now. I am not fragile. I evolve through fire. Because resilience isn't about surviving once. It's about becoming someone who can never be undone. This is where the road turns. Not with noise, not with celebration, but with silence. A quiet, irreversible moment where you look back at everything you were and you let it die. Because the man who walks forward now is not a survivor. He is something far more rare. He is sovereign. The untouchable man does not live for approval. He doesn't react to criticism. He doesn't chase what others think is important. He lives by his own design. And because of that, he becomes magnetic. People don't understand him, but they feel something when he enters a room. Not charm, not showmanship, gravity. To live this way is not easy. You will be misread, misjudged, even resented. People will say you've changed, and they'll be right. You've stopped living on their terms. You've stopped waiting for permission. You've stopped asking to be seen. You've chosen mastery over acceptance, clarity over chaos, power over pity. That choice costs you. You lose comfort. You lose crowds. But what you gain is worth everything. You gain control of your time. You gain command of your mind. You gain peace that doesn't bend to circumstance. You become the man you once looked for when you were broken. And that man does not kneel to fear, to lust, to weakness, or to noise. This is your final step, not back into the world as it was, but forward into the one you'll now shape. You are no longer reacting to life. You are designing it, and that makes you dangerous, not because of what you can destroy, but because of what you refuse to surrender. So here is your final declaration, not whispered, not hoped, declared. Say it aloud, type it below, let the world feel it, let your old self hear it. I am untouchable. Because this is not the end, it's the beginning. A new life governed not by weakness, but by will. And if this journey has shifted something in you, do 3 things: like this video, subscribe to this channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your next transformation begins with action. Now move.